I would say it's not your father's data center anymore, right? This is customers, and then we partner with people like Aviz Networks to build out solutions for our joint customers.
What do you see? What's the biggest misconception that customers have?
That it's easy.
Hi everyone, and thank you for joining us. Today, I'm excited to welcome Mark Longwell, Director of Telco and Edge Alliances at Red Hat. Mark has been with Red Hat since 2016, where he has played a key role in building strategic partnerships across the telecom and edge ecosystems. He works with some of the industry's leading technology partners to help customers adopt cloud-native platforms and AI-ready infrastructure, bringing together innovation, collaboration, and real customer outcomes. So today we'll be talking about the recently announced partnership between Red Hat and Aviz and why AI factories are changing the way organizations think about infrastructure and operations, and how together we are helping customers simplify complexity and build AI infrastructure. Mark, it's a pleasure to have you on this podcast, and welcome.
Thanks, Ilona. Thanks for having me here today, and looking forward to the conversation.
And before we dive in, I've heard you're a big fan of Liverpool Football Club fan.
Yep.
I would ask you to predict the season's finish, but maybe we'll save that debate for the end.
Well, I'll say they're going to finish in the top 3. We can still talk at the end of the season, though. No worries.
Okay, let's hope for that. We'll see. So how about we start with Red Hat? For those, of course, everybody heard and know Red Hat, but for those who might know the company as well as we do, what's one thing about Red Hat that you wish more people understood? Something you can share.
Well, first off, it's an open source software company with an enterprise business model, which is basically our tagline. But think of Red Hat as the company that's contributed to the upstream community and open source for 30 plus years. And we take that software and we harden it, we put security around it, we normalize it so the enterprise can look to adopt it and utilize it. And not just the enterprise, but telcos and so forth going forward. So people may know us best as Red Hat Enterprise Linux, and that's where we cut our teeth basically 30 years ago. And it's still a key component of our portfolio. But we've branched out to Kubernetes container platforms such as OpenShift, OpenStack platform, automation platforms, and so forth. And 100% of our software is open source, and 100% is then provided through a subscription model with support, patches, security updates, and so forth to customers. So it's not just a one-horse town, so to speak, or a one-trick pony, but it's a company with a complete platform and an offering of solutions for customers. And then we partner with people like Aviz Networks to build out solutions for our joint customers.
Yeah, and we'll talk about this partnership in a little bit and why it's important for customers. Before that, I would really, of course, would like to bring AI into the picture, into the conversation. AI is everywhere right now. So from your perspective, why do you think AI factories are changing the way that organizations think about infrastructure? And what makes AI infrastructure different?
Well, I think the biggest thing is really just the scale and the density and the complexity of these production environments, right? This traditional throw a few CPUs into a rack, a couple servers and so forth, plug it in, air cooled, and away we go to do computations, whether it's ERP or CRM or whatever the case might be. That's a little bit outdated these days. These AI systems, these massive GPUs, massive rack systems, it's just redefined how people are utilizing software going forward. And it's not just things like the cooling and the cost. It's really about the density and the scalability of these platforms and what they can do. And quite frankly, if you're an IT department, you have to figure out, can my infrastructure handle what my company wants to do? Before, it was just buy another server that was CPU based. But now with the cost of GPUs and the cost of cooling and the infrastructure needed to do this massive software rollout, it's an infrastructure first kind of mentality versus a software first kind of mentality. And then you start layering on top of things that exponentially get harder to do. And this is where our partnership will come in a little bit later, but things like observability and telemetry and the cost management, we're seeing just, increases just, 10, 20 fold in all of these operational aspects of it. It's like, I would say it's not your father's data center anymore, right? This is the new improved data center, which is a combination of GPUs, CPUs, switches, you name it, it has gotten much, much more complex.
Right.
And this is where we need these observability and telemetry products to help manage and keep it as manageable as possible going forward.
Right. And Mark, since you touched on these operational challenges the AI infrastructure is bringing right now, so what are some, you think, of the biggest challenges customers run into compared to traditional data center that you mentioned, and how these challenges can be solved with our partnership?
Yeah, absolutely. So I say the first one is everyone's learning, right? This complexity is rather new. We all just hear about NVIDIA, AI, but AI has been around for a while. I was obviously in the last 5 or 6 years, it's gone on this hockey stick kind of effect where you're seeing the build out, you're seeing people now saying, okay, now I've done all this build out,
right,
and I've trained the models, or other people have trained the models. How do I put this into production so I can start seeing some return on investment there? So the companies have spent all this time and spent all this money, right, on this totally fundamental hardware shift, right? And a rack of CPU servers used to be 5 or 10 kilowatts. You look at a rack of GPU servers now that can't just be air cooled. They're running up 50 to 100 kilowatts per rack. So basically 10x. So it's not just the physical aspects, it's also the management aspects. You now have data pipelines going east and west across multiple thousands of GPU servers at a scale you really didn't see before on the CPU side. Now, sure, we got things done on the CPU side, but really AI has just accelerated everything involved in computing. It's hardware, it's software, it's cooling, it's the infrastructure. It's right across the board, 10, 20x of everything that we're used to and comfortable with. And we're seeing results. Companies are now starting to see AI factories bringing results back and so forth. Then you throw in data sovereignty, okay? How do you manage all this? You want to just do your calculations where the data resides, but you're running a hybrid cloud environment. So your observability and your monitoring now goes up another level that needs to be addressed because GDPR, DORA, US regulations and so forth are really driving demands on customers to make sure they are legal. Never mind the physical build out, but once you have all that built out, how do I stay legal? How do I stay compliant? How do I best serve my customer in a framework that I am observing international and national laws?
And what do you see? What's the biggest misconception that customers have?
That it's easy. We all think we go onto a browser and we just go onto Copilot and we type in, tell me 10 types of different koala bears, and up pops a thing. But in the background, there is a ton of complexity on the build out that is making this what seems easy to a user, to you, to me, to our kids or our parents. But in the background, it's just the complexity is beyond reproach. It's getting more and more complex, as these models get bigger or companies use smaller models. But I would say the biggest misconception is it's easy. And then when you start digging down into it and trying to build out your infrastructure, there is a lot of complexity and things to consider, but Red Hat, Aviz Networks, and other partners help to manage that for companies to implement AI systems that provide ROI.
Yeah, that is right. That's what we're seeing as well. And Mark, so one thing that we've talked about is that, like you mentioned, AI Factory is a system and it needs that operating model that brings all these things together. And specifically, I wanted to touch on that we talked about is that applications and networks can't really operate in silos anymore. And that's where our partnerships comes in. And where do customers usually experience the biggest pain when those two worlds are not connected? And what is the value that we together bring the customers from your point of view?
Yeah, so I would say the orchestration and the operations are not linked in any, I would say, compatible way. It's what we would experience as an end user, right? We would have an end user experience is not what we expected. We would get a drop phone call when we're calling customer support to report an outage or to talk to my Toyota mechanic or whatever the case might be. And all these things on the back end are all connected. Right? So I pick up the phone, I want to have an issue with my Toyota, you're repaired, the phone call drops or the database at the Toyota manufacturer goes down and they can't pull up my records, and there's no remediation or observability or telemetry built in for the customer or for the partner to remediate that quickly so the customer experience is not affected, or the customer basically doesn't even know something happened in the back end, right? So working with Aviz and the Aviz ones and Aviz service nodes and Aviz network copilot, we're helping customers unify their networks, give them greater observability, give them greater telemetry, leverage the Red Hat platform, and we'll bring in other partners as needed, right? We all can't do it alone. It's not a Red Hat and Aviz solution is everything. There's going to be a database in there somewhere, right? There's going to be a switch. There's going to be a NIC card. We all play together, but where you bring great value is that observability and unifying this network through your software-defined networking suite of software.
Absolutely. And looking ahead, of course, AI infrastructure is evolving incredibly fast. And Mark, if we have this conversation again, for example, in 2 years, and what are you most excited about as Red Hat and Aviz continue working together? Where do you see this partnership going? And how would it look like in 2 years? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think one of the things we've already talked about and discussed with some of our engineering folks is how do Aviz and Red Hat get tighter together? Meaning, do we do proactive integration work? Do we build out potentially a reference architecture that would allow us to go to joint customers together? We're in a sell with model. We will meet at the customer and each have a separate transaction, but we can get closer from a technical perspective. And as we get more joint customers, more AI factories, that seems to be kind of a very hot area right now, I think this will be easy to bring our integration work more to the forefront and help us accelerate our partnership. As far as the technology, if I had a crystal ball where we're going to be in 2 years on memory and GPUs and everything else, I'd be on Wall Street right now. It moves. I don't understand how our solution architects and technical engineers can keep up with the pace of the technology. I read an hour or two a day, and I just can't believe the pace of change is amazing. And the partnerships are it's all co-opetition. We're all partnering with each other. But I think Red Hat and Aviz can get more tightly integrated going forward. And I think we will based on customer demand.
And if someone is just beginning the AI Factory journey today, what's the one thing you would tell them not to overlook?
I would say great planning and get a real understanding of where you are today and what's your end result. Like, what do you want to get to? Don't just go into it saying, I've got to do an AI factory because my competitor is doing it. That's a great way just to time sink a lot of time you can't get back. It's potentially bad investments on technology or services, whatever the case might be. Have a real clear roadmap of what you want to do, and then bring in experts like Red Hat and Aviz to do POCs and help those customers get to their end goals and show them how they can get there. I think in the initial part of AI, everyone kind of jumped in and was doing a POC, and then things kind of settled out and people weren't sure now what to do with them. Now that the infrastructures are being built up and the factories are available, if you have a clear roadmap of where you want to be, that's only going to accelerate your success rate. And no one wants to do skunkworks projects that go nowhere. But you have to have a plan, and you have to have an endpoint where you want to get to. And you want to be there on a platform and with a partner like Aviz that's going to allow you to get there and then grow from there, right? It's not an endpoint, it's a destination on the journey, but you're going to keep growing and growing and growing for years to go.
Absolutely, I cannot agree more. Mark, and let's finish with something fun. So imagine you are sitting in the control room of an AI factory, and what's the one warning light you would never want to see flashing, and why?
Well, I'll go back to one of my favorite movies, which is War Games, back about 40 years ago in global thermonuclear war. What I don't want to see is anything flashing that's red, that's not good, or us at DEFCON 4 level, which is really not good. So hopefully I see none of those in my lifetime except in a fictitious movie.
Oh, that's right. That's it. And hopefully there will be a button, Red Hat plus Aviz. If something is flashing, press the button.
In a way, it all gets fixed and remediated on its own, an autonomous network.
Yes.
There's where we're trying to get to, absolutely.
So, Mark, I really enjoyed this conversation because we moved beyond just individual technologies and focus on what it actually takes to build AI infrastructure that delivers business value. Thank you very much for joining this podcast with me, and I would love to meet again at the end of the season and discuss where are we in terms of your prediction in terms of football and also AI infrastructure. Maybe not in 2 years, but hopefully by the end of the season we'll see where we are. I'm sure it will be changed a lot, considering the pace of change it's going.
Yes, exactly. Looking forward to it, Ilona. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mark.